Oh wow, it's like, oh my gosh, look at all of the cranberries. The best way to get into the holiday spirit is just to get in the kitchen and bake something. That is exactly what we're going to do today. We're going to make my spiced gingerbread loaf. It is full of warm holiday spices. It is also really healthy. We're using whole grains in this, along with almond flour to keep you full. And most importantly, it is absolutely delicious. Let's get started. First, we're going to get started with our dry ingredients. I use a combination of 3 flours in this recipe. I use a combination of whole wheat flour, white flour, along with almond flour. The whole wheat flour is going to add fiber and it's going to make the loaf much more hearty. The white flour is just going to allow it to get a little bit fluffy, and the almond flour is going to add healthy fats along with protein, so it's just going to make it overall more nutritious. I'm going to add 3/4 of a cup of each of these. Now we're going to add in our spice mix. This is a mix of super warm, Christmassy spices. We have ginger, cinnamon, allspice, and cloves. I like using a lot of spices in this recipe just because I really like my gingerbread to be spicy. Now we're going to add some baking powder to help it rise, along with some salt. It really is important, even though you may just use a little bit. It makes a big difference. I just realized I forgot to add the oh so important nutmeg to my spice mix, so I gotta add it in now. Just 1/4 teaspoon of nutmeg. Now I'm just going to give this a mix. Now we're going to set this aside and get started on our wet ingredients. For the sweeteners in this recipe, we use all natural sweeteners. We're going to use a combination of molasses and maple syrup. It is the ingredient that you need to really get that gingerbread flavor, and we are going to use 1/4 cup. Now we're going to add in 1/4 cup of maple syrup. Now I'm going to add 1/4 cup of neutral flavored oil. I'm using a sunflower oil. It really doesn't matter what kind you use as long as it isn't one that gives off a really strong flavor. We're only adding 1/4 cup. Then we're going to add in 1 cup of plant-based milk. So now you guys, I'm going to add in a flax egg. I used to be really scared of recipes that contained flax eggs. I don't know why, but it just used to like intimidate me. I wouldn't want to make a recipe if it had a flax egg in it. But I'm here to tell you there's nothing to be scared of. It is simply 1 tablespoon of ground flax along with 2.5 tablespoons of water. All you do is you mix that together and let it sit, and it turns into a jelly consistency, eggy consistency, and that is what we're going to use in this recipe as an egg replacer. So I'm going to go ahead and add that. Say it with me, you guys. Flax eggs are my friends. Lastly, we're just going to add in 2 teaspoons of vanilla. Now we're just going to give this bad boy a mix. All right, now we are going to combine the wet and dry ingredients. So I'm just gonna pour the wet into the dry. And now we're going to add in my favorite ingredient of this loaf, cake, whatever we decide on, cranberries. These cranberries give like a pop of tartness / sweetness / Christmassiness to this loaf, and I really think it adds a lot. I was doing it with raisins before, and then I was like, no, gotta do cranberries, it's Christmas, come on. And it's seriously so good in this. So now I have my previously prepared loaf pan. I just put a piece of baking paper in the center along with 2 clips. This is gonna help us to lift it out easier whenever it comes out of the oven. Let's do this. So now for our topping. I like doing a really basic topping on this. I like doing some roughly chopped pecans along with some brown sugar. I have my pecans here and I'm just going to give them a rough chop. Then we're just going to add those onto the top. Then lastly, on top of that, I just like to add a little bit of brown sugar. You could also use coconut sugar. This just gives a slight sweet bite at the top of the bread along with the crunchy pecans. I just think it's really delicious. That's like my favorite bite that I have of the bread. Now be sure to take off your clothespins or clips. Now I like cutting off the excess paper, and then we're just going to pop this in the oven for about 45 to 50 minutes until a toothpick comes out clean. Okay, now it's time to take it out of the oven. Okay, this looks so beautiful and my kitchen is smelling so amazing right now. Now we are going to take it out. So now I'm going to take this out. I'm just gonna take a butter knife and run it along the sides. Now it's really best to let this rest for about 20 to 30 minutes before you cut into it. So we're just gonna do that and have some patience. Now it's time to cut into it. Oh wow, it's like, oh my gosh, look at all of the cranberries. It's seriously so pretty. It looks so beautiful with just like all of the cranberries in there, and it's also, you can tell that it's super moist. I've actually been told in previous videos that people don't like the word moist. So I have to find like another word that's not moist that can replace it. So if you guys have any ideas for that, just let me know. I don't know. Juicy? Anyways, I'm going to try a piece of this. It's always so good. Like all of the warm spices it really fits perfectly in this, and I love like the sweet tartness of the cranberries. It's just like the perfect touch. I know you guys are really gonna like this one. So if you guys like this episode, be sure to check out some of my other holiday recipes in this playlist, and don't forget to subscribe. We'll see you next time.